welcome back. And now we're on to our discussion. Today we're looking at the street children. I mean, you see them all the time trying to clean your windows, and you wonder, is it really child labor? Well, I have in studio with me a group of panelists who are here to discuss this. We have Alex, Daniel, and Nanaya. Well, you'll see that these two Daniels are different, so we'll explain that with their name tags. Okay. So, guys, let's talk about this. When you see these street children constantly coming up to your windscreen and stuff and cleaning, first of all, we know that they do not have the money. Probably their homes are not as fortunate as some of us. But is this something you consider as child labor?
Well, it will depend the context in which we want to define what child labor is. That is, if we need to operationally define what child labor is, and then depending on the age range between which somebody could be classified as a child or not. So, to me, I think I wouldn't consider it child labor per se, but with the context within which they come clean your windows and all that, is it after school hours or within the hours that you realize that children should be in the classroom? If it is, what are the causes of why they are outside and not in the classroom? And is it something deliberate? Is it something that has been, parentally organized, or is it something that they are doing it out of the kind of context or out of the knowledge of their parents? That is when we can define it as child labor or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What are your thoughts?
If they are below the age of 18, according to our constitution, then they are children. Okay, obviously they are working, so it's a form of labor. As to whether it's good or bad, I will consider it in terms of the risk that particular job poses to their health and their education. If they are working, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with a child working, okay, especially if he's regulated and with parental supervision, because in this part of our world, some of these things are necessitated by economic conditions. Maybe the parents don't have enough money to take care of, so they have to do something to support the family, okay. But for the kids on the street, most of them are on the highways, and I think even though it's good labor, but it's not healthy
it's
for
dangerous.
them. It's very dangerous, okay, and it should be regulated. And we admire their entrepreneurial ambition, okay, but it's not healthy, okay, because there are other forms of labor that children are involved in that cannot be risky or dangerous to their health, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think Daniel has just explained whether really they fall within the range of being a child or not. But seriously, in our part of the world, and in Ghana, for instance, you wouldn't be seeing a child who comes from a good home with a good future plans there working. It's not true. The experiences we have and the situations that we are confronted with, I personally will see all as child labor. Why? Because they are all underprivileged. They are all working because of one situation or the other. Most of them, you'll be amazed that they are even pushed by these parents to go out there because the parents feel that they alone cannot come up with what they need to come up with in order to keep them going. And so you get them going one way or the other. Some of them, through that, also take their own initiatives and now forget about the parents' advice and then go on their own. So in our part of the world, I don't think we can really be able to distinguish between whether one part of labor of a child is good or not, or in my opinion will be a bad and a negative thing.
Yeah. What about you, Nana?
Exactly just what my colleague said. Child labor is any person who is below 18 and then it takes part in any job that is harmful to the person's health, whether mentally, psychologically, or physically. So to me, basically, like the child you're talking about who cleans the windows when you to me, I really consider that as child labor because at that time, other kids may be at home studying, depending, because most of them, the reality of the whole thing is that most of them don't go to school. And even when some go to school, as soon as they come, they are going to work from the time they come home. The following day, they are expected to go to school and go and study. But then when they come, they are not able to do anything. They just work and work and work just because of poverty. And then they have to work just to get some little money to buy food to eat. And really, that is really not a good sight at all.
Yeah.
And I really consider that as child labor.
Yeah.
Because so far as it's harmful to the child's health, I think is child labor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, before we go into then what other alternatives or what the situation is for perhaps for the family before the kids have to go and do that, let's just take a look at the stories of these kids. We actually went out there and interviewed some of them to find out what they face and what they go through and what they consider themselves to be in. So let's take a look at that. Almost every street along the street is competed by young pure ice water sellers. Many young boys and girls who are in one way or another being pushed onto the streets to sell ice water, since it is a very lucrative venture, especially as a bowl full of sachet water can be sold in less than 20 minutes. Meet Janet, who has been selling ice water near Circle Railway for the past couple of years.
Me 19 years by na me work me mama we papa suwi me chi my 3 nti abrabo no nkosuma me na me ja me nwan wo bai me to ade kakra na makomane wo.
This kind of business has been mainly female dominated, with high patronage of children between the ages of less than 10 years. Most of these children come from broken homes, poor parental control, and or the need to continue their education. As if their unfortunate backgrounds is not bad enough, these children are also faced with daily risks.
And said I am koye because at times no on ba say yen pack ye niama yen ko any ade nti yenti me ayesa yenya vim mpom fa nton ade papa bro hapa man Canada namboa because hanu munye the big pot ya ayesa ni pa trapa by ayesa ye hu na chire ana ye hojre e wa hase.
Some of the other risks include getting knocked down by vehicles, chasing a vehicle for an amount of 5 pesos, simply because the person who bought the ice water is in a moving vehicle and has not yet paid.
Meet sorry by 7 o'clock anapa meet me question times ya timi aton kra no be 8 bucks a day.
We tried our hands with this trade and within 30 minutes experienced the scorching heat of the sun and the headache that these children endure on the daily basis. This is a day in the life of an ice water seller.
Me did the Janet, me was 19 years, me told her there was circle race. Abrabo no more din, but me catch him say mon shadin, be bold.
Yo, Lauren, line up, please. It's funny how money changes situation.
These are the children that we shoo away from our cars in traffic when they try to clean our windows. The children that we all know should be in school during our morning and afternoon drives to and from meetings, and who we know should be asleep at home when we see them cleaning windows during our 9 p.m. traffic. And yet, there they are, working hard day in and day out, trying to make a bit of money to sustain themselves. Arguably, not all these children are street children and come from homes with parents. But how then did they end up here?
My name is Daniela Samoa. Me and my brothers, we come here to look for money and we take the money to go to school and we give our mothers time and fathers to look after ourselves, buy school uniforms, clothes and our items. When I wake up in the morning, when I bath, I'll go to school. When I'm from school, I'll come here and look for money. When I close from here, I'll go to the library and learn. When it's 9 o'clock p.m. and I'll go to bed.
Are you lying about the library?
Yes, I'll go to the library. How good library.
Should this be considered as child labor? Or can we compare this to children in the Western world starting their first jobs filling shelves in the supermarkets for next to nothing? The hazardous work environment, however, does not allow for many of us to see it this way.
The grown-up people, they're still in the traffic when it is night. When they come here, if you are calling, they will snatch your phone. That is why people, if you are coming to do it, they sack us. They beat us, say that we are armed robbers.
These children seem hardened by a young life of struggle and have found ways to be cunning to survive.
Maybe I ever say the pack glass, almost enjoy, but maybe I'm buying from a boy. I see, you go school. Yeah, engineer say you go school. I never went to school. Maybe I saw police. I see engineer for school. Maybe I.
Now who go school?
You go school.
Who go
Today, Be Bold discusses the plight of these children who are found all over the developing world and see whether this could be considered as child labor.
Alex, can you just touch on that again for us quickly in terms of, you being there and being part of that discussion?
Considering what happened the other day with the children on the street, the most painful aspect was you going to clean the windscreen of a car and then you're like, hey, as if, you're nothing at all, not part of human. So, but speaking to one child, it was very touchy because the guy was like, he's been working all his life because he was age 4 when he used to be with somebody and washing utensils and all that, whilst the person had 2 kids, one 18 and the other one 21. And this 18-year-old girl will kind of go eat and then leave the place in the sink for you to come wash at the age of 4. So you realize that it's total deprivation of the child's rights, just because the parents were not. And unfortunately, the mother was also selling on the street. So what do you expect? You gotta go live with somebody and at least bring in something little so that your parents can support the other young ones. But as he's growing up, he's now like 13 or 14, and he's now going to class 2 to that afresh, whilst his age mates apparently should be in class 5, class 6. So even with that, even if you have been allowed to go back to school, that kind of stigma that, hey, I'll be called as in our Ghanaian society class 2 papa, you wouldn't even have the zeal to be in the classroom. So you tend to say, well, I've lived all my life on the streets, so why not go back to the street? Because going to the classroom, they are like class 2 papa, intimidation, stigmatization. So sometimes they go beyond the scope of child labor to the trend of mental retardation or something, because you wouldn't have that kind of happiness to be in the classroom at age of 14, class 2.
Yeah. Okay.
You see? And working with somebody, like, you always be considered as a second class human being, because you are always there to serve somebody, because somebody used to eat for you to clean place, somebody used to do this for you to do that. Certain things are very pathetic.
I also think that street children should be treated with respect, because every child has a right.
Exactly.
What is a street child in your opinion?
In my opinion, a street child is anybody who is homeless, doesn't have a home to, or doesn't have a home to go to, or even some street children live with their parents on the streets. They grew up,
but they're all homeless.
Exactly, because they are all homeless, all due to the poverty we're talking about. So to me, in my opinion, I think that street children should be treated with respect, because you can just imagine, like, in traffic, like maybe you just stopped at a traffic light, and then the street children start coming to beg, like they come towards your car,
and you're like,
and then no, they actually
you see, the point is,
that stigma, he's going to steal my phone, or he's going to steal my laptop bag. I think basically most of them just want money, not your laptop bag. Even though,
but they do. People are being
steal.
Even though some people steal, I'm just saying that we shouldn't insult them, and at least we should give them that respect.
Decency.
Exactly, because we should know that they don't have the same how should I say it, education, or they don't come from the same background you come from, so you know that you're not supposed to go and beg. Okay. Because you are fortunate to have, you're entitled to food and everything in your house, but they are not fortunate, so they feel like the best way for them to survive is by begging, or by doing the cleaning the windows to get some 50 pesos or some 1 CD to survive.
No, but so the fundamental underlying point is that they want money.
Exactly.
And now Ghanaians are like, so at least just do something little so that they can get the money.
Exactly.
And others too do play truants.
Okay. Exactly.
Daniel, what do you want to say?
This story is upon seeing the documentary. They are a reflection of families, you see, because each and every one of these children represent families, and they have a unique story. Okay, and they are part of our society. So it shows that there are certain things going on in our society that maybe we've been not giving attention to it. We are only seeing them on our streets, and maybe at some places. Okay, one of those places being our streets. Okay, that means that there's something natural, because we can actually trace those children to houses, to homes, to parents. They just didn't just appear. Okay, so what exactly are these problems? We spoke about the need poverty. Okay, some of these children really don't want to be there because I believe every child has a dream. They love to see you in your car and aspire to be in your car. But they don't know how that is going to ever happen in their life. Okay, so as much as we frown upon it,
Danny, not to cut you short, but do you think there could be a case where somebody could be so influenced that I used to have a very nice good friend who is now on the streets, and out of ignorance or something, let me join the person on the street?
it's actually part of it, because what you see, influence is as a result of information, okay, and the kind of information you receive is based on the kind of people you hang around with and the kind of environment you are in. Okay, so that means that we have groups of people in our society who are being exposed to the wrong kind of information that is leading to this kind of result. Okay, so we should be thinking every time we see a street child, as much as we frown upon it, we should see their stories and think of, what is there something we can actually do about it?
Yeah. Now, Daniel, with regards to that, what would you do? What would you do to change, apart from just seeing their story? What would you do differently?
As I sat down and she mentioned the factor of money, there was one thing I was looking at. I asked myself that, does it mean that a child who comes from a very good home, probably at age 13 or 14, wants to go into business, decides to leave the house, gets a good place to live, start working on their own, take their own initiative, are we really going to consider that also as child labor?
No.
So there's one thing we then start to look at, that again, as he mentioned, there are certain causes at the home level. There are a few of them who have been victims of, abandonment, that
broken
they don't
homes
even
and all that,
see their parents. They don't even see them. They are abandoned somewhere. They get an orphanage. The orphanage helps them 1, 2, 3, and then that's it. So I think this platform is one area. It's important that we use every platform available to advocate and talk about these things. The way we see the kids, the way we approach them, the way we make them feel safe, that they are loved, that it's possible for things to be changed, matters a lot. So I'm always happy when at the end of the year and the rest, I hear institutions, churches going to donate this and that. But it's not enough there. It's important to put them in school. It's important to give them a plan. The government can come in. I don't know how well the government is pushing this at the social welfare level, but these are very huge interventions that the government should come in to start with. Then others will look upon this and also come up with their own.
Let me ask
Before you do, let me just say that you can discuss this also on the website, thebeboldshow.com. Look in the blog segment, and we do have this discussion going on. So go on, Alex, do tell us exactly.
You're saying that government and corporate institutions do like lots of things at the end of the year and all that, but are they doing it just because it's their corporate social responsibility, or they are doing it as a result of they've put in themselves in the shoes of those children on the street, and that if what they are doing is in a way kind of going to take them out, or is kind of averting the situation a bit, or are just doing it just for recognition's sake? You see, that is one problem we also need to look at.
And also for me, I think a lot of people that try and come up with these sort of poverty alleviation sort of ideas, none of us have really felt what people that are in poverty are feeling.
Exactly.
So how do we come up with solutions that we have no idea about? If you're home, you're 18 years old, you have 3 children, from different men probably, who all are not taking care of the kids. How do you not tell your kid, don't go out there and beg for money? That's how you're going to survive. So then what do we do to sort of solve this problem?
Basically, I think that giving physical money, physical cash to the kids outside is not the best way of solving this. A good way of solving this problem is that you can actually donate. If you can't do anything on your own, you can actually donate to the NGOs who help these kids on the street. So for instance, you can donate, then they can build schools. You can donate, then they can employ teachers who will teach these kids. You can donate, then they will get food, water, clothing, everything, shelter, at least, even if it's not permanent shelter, at least temporarily, so that they can come to school.
But a lot of these kids, though, they don't really they want the money immediately. It's fast, you know,
Exactly.
in your power.
Yeah,
You
no,
can
this
do it.
thing
How do
is
you
that
be sure?
I think that we need to take one identify these people. So I'm very grateful for that documentary. Know who these people are. You see, knowing who they are will let you appreciate their story. Okay, because they didn't just appear. Okay, when you carry that child and say, let's go home. If there is no house, it will take you somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
When we get them off the streets, okay, it will lead us to their parents. We will see if their parents are responsible or irresponsible. Because I know in the West, they can actually take children away from parents if they feel the parents are not taking care of their children. Okay, so that means that if we are able to first even strengthen our social welfare system, because I know Ghanaians are generous. Okay, when you just say let's give for children here, people will give money for it. But how strong are our social welfare system? That's okay. We have 10,000 street kids. We are putting them here, put money there, and how effectively that can work. Because if we can give them education, their perception and their perspective of life will change.
Exactly.
They will now begin to see possibilities. They will now begin to dream and say, "Oh, there's more I can do with my life. I can be a doctor. I can be." But if they are not privy to those information, they'll think all they could ever be is what they see, and all they see is poverty. Okay, but the moment they get the right kind of information, their mind will open. Possibilities will begin to spring up on them.
Last words, Alex, because of time.
Well, I think corporate societies and platforms like these and all that are helping out. But we should try as much as possible to just know the bottom cause and the roots of why they are on the streets and see the possible avenues within which we can use in helping them. Because donating to NGOs, what is the assurance that it is going to somebody at Mamobi, Kalkudi Junction? Probably you will go to, let's say, an orphanage home or something. You understand? But these people are on the streets. The orphanage homes are being taken care of. What about those on the street? What are we doing to take them out of the street, even back to the orphanage home, so that we can have a complete structure to work in place for them?
And actually, for some people too, even in the Western world, people adopt one particular child and take care of them through their school. You know, if everyone could do that in their own capacity, that might help. But I think these are very valid concerns that we've all brought up here. This is an ongoing discussion, and it's not, we can't find a solution just today. But you can continue this discussion on the BeBoldShow.com under blog segment. Look for this discussion, and you can contribute your thoughts and your ideas as to how we can solve this problem. Those kids, they're out there and they're coming to clean your windscreen every single day because they do need the money, you know. So all that go it's not necessarily the best, but really how can you help as an individual as well? Well, let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Thank you guys for joining us.
Welcome.